I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles, Ray Millstone, for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge Alakian, who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect. This is the brother Shabai from the GMS Denver camp. Just going to go in on Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach in the Apocrypha. Chapter 8, I read it earlier today, and I just, in the spirit, I felt like I wanted to do a lesson in this chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and read it, and I hope this is going to be edifying to the body. All right? Sirach 8 and 1. Strive not with a mighty man, lest thou fall into his hands. Be not at variance with a rich man, lest he overweigh thee, for gold hath destroyed many, and perverted the hearts of kings. And you can't change in your heart is your mind. So, riches, especially riches gained by, faulty ways, shady ways. This type of stuff can pervert the mind of people. Strive not with a man that is full of tongue, and heap not wood upon his fire. Jest not with a rude man, lest thy ancestors be disgraced. And when you think about these, they're basically like proverbs, pretty much. A lot of the wisdom, Ecclesiasticus, you can get out of that book. It's comparable to Proverbs, because it's giving you a bunch of wise sayings, wise proverbs. Matter of fact, let me look up that word, proverb. Just see what it says on the definition. A proverb is a short, traditional saying that expresses a universal truth, practical wisdom, or a moral lesson based on common sense and human experience. They are passed down through generations and help offer guidance to explain a general principle of life. And this truth has been passed down to us through generations. Okay? So when we go into these proverbs and these, chapters in Ecclesiasticus, it's true wisdom. You could test these sayings. You could test these, proverbs with your daily life, and it always comes out to be the truth. It always adds up. Verse 5, it says, reproach not a man that turneth from sin, but remember that we all are worthy of punishment. Dishonor not a man in his old age, for even some of us wax old. And really, this is applies to the elect. So we believe through the Spirit, our elders are the elect. They're the beginning of the elect, meaning the chosen ones of Yahweh Bashem Yoshai. They're the top men in Israel, okay? Walking the face of the earth, right? So it's men like that. You would never want to dishonor the elders, Rejoice not over thy greatest enemy being dead, but remember that we die all. Despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint thyself with their proverbs. For of them thou shalt learn instruction, and how to serve great men with ease. You see that? And I was going in on that, I think, yesterday. We were going in on it at camp here in Arizona. we were talking about how, well, the brother Kassad, the elder brother from Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona camp, basically was talking about, when you come across a wise man, you want to wear out his doorsteps. See? Let's get that real quick. All right, it's actually also in Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. You go to Ecclesiasticus 6, and we'll go to almost the last verse, 36. It says, well, you know what? Let's go to 35. Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. And that's it. That's why you got to be diligent, constantly growing in the spirit, being able to understand the dark sentences, right? The dark sayings, the grave sentences, Because sometimes these parables and these proverbs and these sayings, they're too deep for the majority of these people. They can't appreciate, like it tells in the scriptures, roughly paraphrasing, that a fool cannot appreciate a proverb, These sayings, these wise sayings, really they're only beneficial towards the elect. Because there's people out there, they might understand things to an extent, but a lot of them, even if they understand it a little bit, they don't really take heed to the word. Okay, let me get this word discourse real quick, because it popped up in both of these chapters. So let's get the definition. Discourse refers to any form of written or spoken communication or the exchange of ideas and information. It functions as a broader, often more formal term for conversation or debate, and can also be defined as language units, like paragraphs or speeches that are larger than a single sentence. Okay, let's see some. In everyday usage, discourse is the communication of thought by words. It can refer to a casual conversation or a highly formal lecture, essay, or dissertation on a specific subject. Okay. So it's a speech. Okay? Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door. You see that? So if you know somebody who's wise, aka the brotherhood, the brethren, wear out their doorsteps. Be among the hopeful elect as much as possible. We know we're in captivity. Brothers got jobs. Brothers got families. Some of us. So even with that though being said, it's always good to link up with the body. Get thee betimes unto him. Let me see what that betimes goes into. Early. So get there early and wear out his doorstep, right? Don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till he goes to bed and then you want to go kick it. So that B times, it means early. So get to the wise men early. And we always tell you who the wise men are. The ones who are proclaiming this truth, this ministry, the ones who are ordained by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. The ones have been set up to be the prophets, to be the true teachers. Wear out their steps. Get to their house early, spiritually and physically, you see. Verse 37, let thy mind be upon the ordinances of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and meditate continually in his commandments. And we always tell you how this is how the brain or the mind of the elect works. We're constantly thinking about the scriptures. We be in the world, and we're testing the Proverbs out according to the world, right? We're thinking about something we read that day or the day before. We're listening to the elders. We're listening to the other brothers, and we meditate on these thoughts. It says, he shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desire. So what you put into this, the more sincere you are, the more diligent you are, the more the Most High is going to give you, the more he's going to reveal unto you. See? That's what this truth's about, man. Being diligent, being, growing in the knowledge. And if you're diligent, for instance, you'll let's say you're watching one of the elders' videos, then you watch the elders' camp, and you might watch another brother's camp from a different city or a different town. And then you go read, and you start to read, and you start reading all the things that brothers and the camps you had just watched it. You just watch the camp on YouTube, and you go into the reading. You be diligent, and the next thing you know, you're reading about what the brothers were talking about at camp. See? So be willing to hear every godly discourse. And when we're out there at camp, this is godly discourse, which is a godly speech. Because we're out there using the Holy Spirit to edify the brethren, So let's go back to Ecclesiasticus. Let's see. Verse 8, despise not the discourse of the wise. So don't despise the speech of the wise, But acquaint thyself with their proverbs, for of them thou shalt learn understanding. You see that? You got to be around the great men. Let's keep reading. And how to serve great men with ease. Yeah, when you start to serve, the brotherhood with ease as you grow in this truth, because if a brother needs something, you feel good to be able to provide it for him if you're able to. If brothers, whatever they need, if you're able to help a brother out, then that's what this ministry is about. Miss not the discourse of the elders. Boom. Miss not the speech, meaning you should, really, it'd be wise for every man in GMS, and I'm sure brothers that are sincere already do this, but you really don't want to miss the speech of the elders. You don't want to miss the camp, Brothers be working and put on the elders, while we're working in the ear, For they also learned of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding, and to give an answer as need requireth. See, you're going to have the answers if you're watching the elders, You're doing the studying, you're reading. I know there's been so many times when I've watched the elders, and then I'll go to the scriptures, start to read, and next thing you know, you read something that the elders just broke down, recently, or that day, or that, and that's how we grow. That's how we That's how the elect learn understanding. Kindle not the coals of a sinner, lest thou be burnt with the flames of his fire. Rise not up in anger at the presence of an injurious person, lest he lie in wait to entrap thee in thy words. Just be careful who you deal with. Lend not unto him that is mightier than thyself, for if thou lendest him, count it but loss. So you try to help somebody else who's more powerful than you, you give them some money and stuff. Man, there's chances are if they're more bold and they're more powerful than you or mightier, like it says here, that you may not never get that loan back. You see, so work with wisdom in all matters. From the greatest matters to the least matters, move with wisdom. Verse 13, be not surety above thy power, for if thou be surety, take care to pay it. Okay? So handle your shit, Let's see. Meaning the surety is basically like a cosigner. You don't want to be co-signing, checks that your ass can't cash. And really a cosign means you're going to pay for somebody else's shit. It says in the Bible, surety means acting as a guarantor or a cosigner for someone else's debt. It involves pledging your own assets or taking on the legal and financial responsibility to pay back what someone else owes if they default or fail to pay. So you're like, oh, I'm the second guy up. I'm going to pay the bill if this person's not able to. The Bible says, be not surety above thy power. So don't take on things that, are out of your limits, Or if thou be a surety, take care to pay it. Okay, so if you do decide that you're going to co-sign on someone else's stuff, then make sure you're about it. Make sure you're able to. Make sure you're not going to, break the bank, or make sure, be responsible. Move with wisdom. Again, move with wisdom. Go not to law with a judge, for they will judge for him according to his honor. Right. You don't want to go against somebody, higher up than you, the system is set up for only certain people, and it's not the Israelites, especially Esau Edom's system. Travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee, for he will do according to his own will, and thou shalt perish with him through his folly. Okay? A bold fellow, so somebody who's bolder than you don't want to be traveling with that person. You're going to want to go do this thing, he's going to want to do another thing. He's more bold than you, then it's not going to work out. You're going to get pissed off. You're going to be like grieved in the spirit. So again, moving with wisdom. That's what Ecclesiasticus, Proverbs, Psalms, it's all basically going in on how to move wisely, Strive not with an angry man, and go not with him into a solitary place, for blood is as nothing in his sight, and where there is no help he will overthrow thee. Okay? And we know the king of the angry men, that's Esau Edom, You really don't want to, of course we can handle our own, we can put hands on Esau if he, any man's threatening you, you can always self-defend yourself, but just don't forget that Esau Edom, this is nothing for him to, draw blood or to put you to death. A lot of these Edomites, they be waiting for moments so that they can fuck Jake over in some way, Consult not with a fool, for he cannot keep counsel. See that? So an unbeliever, why are you going to have a consultation or conversation, or why are you going to, give your pearls to swine, He's not going to keep, You start, talking to men who are not in this truth, opening up to men, It actually goes into it, this chapter. But you especially if they're not in this ministry, they're gonna use it against you. They're gonna use the truth against you. Okay. Give not thy pearls to swine. Let's grab that real quick. And it's not only, it's only, let's see, that's only a portion of that verse. Let's see. It says, give not that which is holy unto the dogs. So this is separate. Remember, this is set apart. That's what holy means. Neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. So if you get too comfortable sharing, oh yeah, I'm a prophet, I do go to camps, I teach on the streets, eventually the people that you share, if you're sharing it with the wrong person, they're going to use this against you. They're going to look it up. Oh, what's a Hebrew Israelite? They're trying to look up, searching out your channel, searching out, they want the people get engaged. They want to know, oh, what's going on with this dude? Why is he so different? He calls himself a prophet, or he thinks he's a prophet. See, people are going to get, curious. And they could try to, basically, they could try to do anything, really. You got to be careful who you talk to. You got to be careful who you open up to, right? So I'll read it one more time. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, meaning don't give this truth to people who don't deserve it. If you're teaching and somebody's like coming against you, or somebody's trying to have a debate or whatever, you don't want to sit there and give them the knowledge when you know they're not going to receive it. You're actually offensive to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai if you keep trying to give something holy to a dog, which this is a metaphor for these wicked ass people who are outside of this ministry. It says, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. And rend means tear you apart. So you don't want to be putting yourself in that type of situation. Brothers with experience know, This is, let's see, verse 17. I'll read it again. Consult not with a fool, for he cannot keep counsel. All right, and that's everybody outside of the truth. You don't need to be consulting with them. What are they going to teach you? They're going to teach you some stuff that's not, of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. They're going to teach you some worldly shit, or you're going to learn worldly habits. So you don't, you have minimal, really, as somebody in this ministry, somebody in this truth, it's always better to have minimal exposure or time dealing with these other people that are outside of the ministry. Do no secret thing before a stranger, for thou knowest not what he will bring forth. Right. Be careful about who you fucking with, like Tupac said. You don't want to reveal anything to somebody you barely know, or reveal them. Like it says, do no secret thing before a stranger, for thou will knowest not what he will bring forth. Okay, you got to be careful how you move. Plain and simple. Open not thine heart to every man, lest he requite thee with a shrewd turn. And there you go. The first part is the main point. Don't open up your mind, because heart is mind. Don't be open up your heart and your mind to somebody who's not worthy. Somebody who's, they could turn around and try and, backstab you, or, try to make you look bad. You always say that trust is earned, it's not just given freely. See? Verse 19, open not thine heart to every man, lest he requite thee with a shrewd turn. And I just read that, right? So you don't open up to every single man. You see, you don't sit there and, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell this dude, oh, he's an Edomite, or whatever. You're giving him knowledge of the truth. You really, should limit it to these videos and the camps. And sometimes, we deal with these people who, it's spiritual. Sometimes you might meet somebody who you might think could be the elect, but if they can't get it, then you just you don't give your pearls to swine. You don't give the meat to the dogs. See? And it's really to protect the ministry, protect you. There's a verse that talks about let me see here. 2 Corinthians, that sounds right. It says, let's start at 2. Or no, let's start at 6. 2 Corinthians 6:1. We then, as workers together with him, beseech you also that you receive not the grace of the Most High in vain. For he saith, I have heard thee in a time accepted, and in the day of salvation have I succored thee. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. Okay? So we're all in this truth. We're all in this ministry. So we keep our nose clean. Don't give a reason for the ministry to be blamed about something. That's not the way this thing of ours is supposed to be. You don't want to look at men of Israel that are getting exposed, right? They gave offense. They're doing some crazy shit and why? And they're coming against the ministry. See, and the Most High is using different things to expose certain men, and this is all going to come to the light. So if you're doing shit that's going to put a blame on the ministry, or you're making the 144K look bad, well, all those type of things will be dealt with, especially in GMS. I know our elders, and we know the elders of the camps. Every camp, they know the state of their flock for the most part. They know what's going on with brothers. Brothers, they have councils, You have councils, so if you're doing shit that's going to cause the ministry to look bad, maybe that's something that needs to be dealt with. Maybe you're not, maybe you should be, spewed out the mouth, you see. So, you don't take things lightly. You definitely don't, like in verse 3 says, giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed, right? Don't make the ministry look bad, man. So that's it, though, man. I just wanted to go in on this scriptures here in Sirach, the 8th chapter. I read it earlier today, and it was a good chapter to read. So, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge Al-Akyam, who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.